Hey, what's up? It's Jake from Nimbus DevOps, and today we're going to be talking about the Cloud Digital Leaders Section 1, specifically subsection 1.1, which will cover digital transformation with Google Cloud. Let's go! As I said before, the goal of this playlist is to be able to listen to it. So if you're watching along, you may notice that I read some things verbatim, and that is actually by design. It's a very poor presentation technique, but you have to understand the entire kind of approach to why this playlist exists. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into it. So the goal of section 1 in why cloud technology is transforming business is to explain why and how the cloud is revolutionizing business. There's some key terms that we need to define to get started, as well as a couple additional pieces of information that we're going to need. These terms include cloud, cloud technology, data, data transformation, cloud native, open source, and open standard. And I'm going to start by defining each one of these. And if you are following along or you're visiting my GitHub repository, I'll provide source documentation as far as where I got all this information. So let's start with cloud. Cloud refers to a model of computing that delivers on-demand access to a shared pool of configurable computing resources such as compute, storage, and networking. It provides flexibility, scalability, and cost efficiency, catering to diverse organizational needs and business goals. This answer was derived from a ChatGPT summary from an actual piece of documentation that I have from Google Cloud called What is Cloud Computing? This documentation is referenced several times in this section, so it is imperative that you actually read this documentation in its entirety. The second and very similar definition that we're looking at is for cloud technology, which is defined as the on-demand availability of computing resources such as storage and infrastructure as services over the internet. It eliminates the need for individuals and businesses to self-manage physical resource themselves and only pay for what they use. And this is again taken directly from the What is Cloud Computing documentation. Next, we define data, which Google didn't have a direct definition for, so I took the Geeks for Geeks definition because data is generic, so it's not really that important that I have a specific source. But ultimately, it's a collection of facts, information, and statistics that can be in various forms such as numbers, text, sound, images, or any other format. Next up, we have digital transformation. When an organization takes advantage of new technologies to redesign and define relationships with their customers, employees, and partners, you're talking about digital transformation. GCP actually offers what is digital transformation documentation, which again is referenced multiple times in this section, and I highly encourage you to read this in its entirety. Next up, we have cloud native, which is an approach to building and running scalable applications to take full advantage of cloud-based services and delivery models. I will personally add that this needs to be kind of like your first approach, so like a cloud first type approach to really be native to the cloud. And there is a Google documentation on what is cloud native. And again, I highly recommend you read this document in its entirety. Next up, we have open source and open standard. So open source is a decentralized production model that allows anyone to modify and share technology because its design is publicly accessible. Google didn't have direct documentation on this, but AWS did, so I actually stole this definition from AWS. And although it's not important for you to read this documentation in its entirety as it pertains to Google, I do recommend reading this in its entirety just so you have a good grasp on what open source is. Part of the reason is because the next article I reference is from IBM, which compares and contrasts open source with open standard. An open standard is a standard that is freely available for adoption, implementation, and updates. Some examples would be XML, SQL, and HTML. This is interesting enough that I would recommend for you to read the article in its entirety, but it's not important for you to memorize any of this stuff. Now we have a few different concepts that we're responsible for describing on the exam. One of them is the difference between cloud technology and traditional on-prem technology. I used ChatGPT to summarize an article within What is Cloud Computing where it defined hybrid, public, and private clouds, and ultimately came up with the definition that cloud computing differs from traditional on-premise IT primarily in flexibility, cost, and management. On-prem requires significant upfront investment in hardware and software with in-house teams handling maintenance, security, and scaling. In contrast, cloud computing operates on a pay-as-you-go model, offering scalable, internet-based services managed by third-party providers, which reduce maintenance burdens and enhance accessibility. While on-premise offers more control and can be better for strict compliance needs, cloud solutions excel in adaptability and cost efficiency. Again, this references the What is Cloud Computing article, which I've already recommended that you read in its entirety. Next, we need to be able to explain the benefits of cloud technology to a business's digital transformation. And this technology is scalable, exable, agile, secure, cost-effective, and offers strategic value. Next, we need to be able to explain the benefits of cloud technology to a business's digital transformation. Again, if you go back to the digital transformation documentation, it'll actually have the benefits. Now, as far as digital transformation goes, the question specifically says you need to be able to explain the benefits of cloud technology. So what I would do is I would summarize with just these 6 items right here. It modernizes infrastructure, manages data, you gain insight, you break down team silos, solve business problems, and realize cost savings. Again, you need to read all the documentation to look at the summary of each one of these, but those are the 6 areas. You don't need to memorize. There are 6 areas, but just know kind of in general what the benefits are. Next, we describe the primary benefits of on-prem, public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud, and multi-cloud. So what I did was I took all the source documentation from What is Cloud Computing. I put it into ChatGPT and asked it to make a markdown table that I can use to explain the differences and kind of the benefits between them. So if you're following along, you can see that the on-prem offers organizational ownership with full control, with an upfront capital expense, with limited scalability, and usually relies on compliance-heavy workloads for their use case. Whereas in contrast, public cloud is owned by the public cloud provider, where you have very limited control and you're trading capital expense for operational expense, or CapEx for OpEx, with a very high degree of scalability, where the use case is more dynamic and unpredictable workloads. Private cloud can be owned by the organization or a provider and gives you a lot more control, but not quite as much control as having your own on-prem data center, and is a mix or blend of CapEx and OpEx with limited scalability, and you would usually use this for secure or sensitive workloads. Hybrid, on the other hand, can be a mix of ownership with moderate control, with a mixed cost structure, moderate scalability, and as I've kind of already described, is a use case of mixed workloads. Multi-cloud is mixed ownership, so you're talking about multiple clouds here, so obviously there's mixed ownership with a moderate amount of control. It's going to be an OpEx-centric cost structure, much like the public cloud, with a high degree of scalability where you need multi-provider resilience in the event of an outage in one cloud provider. Next, we want to be able to describe the main business transformation benefits of Google Cloud, which are intelligence, freedom, collaboration, trust, and sustainability. Essentially, what I did was I took the 6 things that I had already referenced in What is Digital Transformation. It says what these are the benefits of digital transformation, and I interpret that the main business transformation benefits of Google Cloud with these things are, in fact, the benefits of digital transformation. A lot of this is repetitive, and at the foundational level, if you just really pound this into your head, you'll do fine. This is a very simple section of the exam. Now let's describe the implications and risks for organizations that do not adopt new technology. And for me, that means you run the risk of sacrificing flexibility, the ability to experience new ideas. You sacrifice measurement and data analysis, cross-team collaboration, delivering more value to customers, and also lack that agility that comes with using the cloud. And if you look at what is digital transformation, it's kind of the opposite of all these things. And if you look at what is cloud computing, it's also kind of the opposite of all those things. So I didn't find a direct answer there where it said this is the implication and risk. I more took it as an interpretive thing where you're saying that you are running the risk of not realizing the benefits by not adopting the cloud. Now we're going to describe the drivers and challenges that lead organizations to undergo a transformation. And this was a mix of ChatGPT outlined with what is digital transformation mixed with my own experience. And that basically dictates that the primary drivers are closely aligned with the benefits already described in the above sections. And the challenges, though, come in the way of cultural resistance, skill gaps, legacy systems, budget constraints, data privacy and security, undefined goals, rapid technology change, and interoperability issues. And lastly, we want to be able to describe the transformation cloud and how it accelerates an organization's digital transformation through app and infrastructure modernization, data democratization, people connections, and trusted transactions. This was just a big word soup for me, and I don't know what in the hell they meant by transformation cloud until I actually found a blog that used that exact terminology that was published by Google. So I recommend reading through this blog post from December 7th of 2022. And this will give you a little bit of an idea of what they mean by transformation cloud, which sounds a little bit like they're just referring to Google Cloud. So I took a stab at describing this. So this powerful technology platform is designed to accelerate digital transformation for any organization by bringing 5 business critical capabilities to our shared customers. So I'm basically describing Google Cloud, and then I took these 5 things that are the value that this brings from the actual blog post to describe how it accelerates digital transformation through the use of the transformation cloud. And that would be the ability to build open data clouds to derive insights and intelligence from data, open infrastructure that enables customers to run applications and store data where it makes the most sense, a culture of collaboration built on Google Workspace that brings people together to connect and create from anywhere, enabling teams to achieve more, the same trusted environment that Google uses to secure systems, data, apps, and customers from fraudulent activity, spam, and abuse, and a foundational platform that uses efficient technology and innovation to drive cost savings and create a more sustainable future for everyone. So that was a whole lot of information, and I hope you're still with me. If you are, we've completed section 1.1. Definitely go back, listen to this video a few thousand times. I know that I'm going to on my walks. And hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. If there's anything additional you'd like to add, let me know in the comments. I think that if we collaborate and work together as a group, everybody here will have no problem passing this certification exam. So thanks for watching. My name is Jake with Nimbus DevOps, and I'll see you in the next one.